So now we're going to have a look at the global tune section here and also the voice tab down here. So we'll start off with the global tune. So this allows us to affect the global tuning, funnily enough, so we can completely transpose massive however we see fit from here, and we can also modulate that using these two modulation source options below. We can also switch on glide and determine the amount of time it's going to take to glide between notes. So that's the global tune tab there. And then we get onto the voicing tab down here. This gives us control over various different parameters from within Massive. And we had a similar tab within Massive 1. So there's lots of really powerful functionality in here. And we can create really nice stacked, thick sounds using the unison area over here and spread controls that we're going to look at. But also new in Massive X is some more advanced kind of harmonization tools where we can create chordal effects similar to the ones I created when we used the insert effect oscillators earlier on. Okay, so let's start over on the left pane over here, and we have the global voicing section here. So within here, we have parameters that relate to global transposition, global pitch bend settings, and also glide behavior. Now we can globally transpose the pitch of the synth in the same way as we can up here from this transpose option. And then we have our pitch bend range, +2, -2. So we can change that to whatever we want, clicking and dragging. So it's plus and minus because we have an upper and lower range. Now below this we have this glide and polyphony area down here. Now the polyphony area contains our play modes. So we can decide whether we want to play monophonically, which means we can't play more than one note, or polyphonically, play multiple notes. And we can determine the number of voices using this tab here. So in the poly mode, we can actually play up to 64 notes at a time. But I think things might get a bit messy if we actually try to do that. More notes equals more CPU usage, just so you're aware. Now we have two different modes here in sorting. We have reassign on and reassign off. Now when it's off, it's in rotate mode, and when it's switched on, it's in reassign mode. Now rotate is the most common mode in polyphonic synthesizers, and in this mode it's possible for two notes of the same pitch to be playing simultaneously, something which isn't possible in an acoustic instrument. But when reassign is switched on, the synth will detect if we're playing the same note at the same time, and it'll allocate the same voice to the same note, which is a bit more realistic. Okay, let's have a look at our glide mode over here. So glide, as we know, and as we discovered earlier on, allows us to glide between notes, glide in pitch. It's often called portamento as well. Now we've got both polyphonic and monophonic glide in Massive X, and we've got different ways we can do this. So we can choose from exponential. This is kind of our classic glide setting. Linear, this creates a straight transition. And inverse exponential. This is another variation to create a different style of glide. Let's see if we can hear any difference. So I'll put it onto mono. Yeah, so there's a subtle difference between these different modes. We've got a legato mode here. Now what that means is we'll only actually get glide if we play two notes at the same time and hold them down at the same time. So if I just play two notes without holding them down, there's no glide. Whereas if one note's held down while I press the other one, we get glide coming in. And we have some additional parameters in mono mode here as well. We have this triller option. And when this is switched on, it means that we'll actually glide back to the original note if we keep on holding it down. So if I press one note and press another one, then let go of the second note, we'll hear the first note again. You can almost create kind of vibrato effects. We then have a triller legato. Now when this is deactivated, envelopes and LFOs restart every time a note is played. But when it's active, envelopes are not re-triggered during legato playing. Now we can also choose whether we want the glide to be triggered by notes on messages, on-off messages, or just off messages. So that's our glide and polyphony section. Okay, next up we have this engine setup area here. Now this determines the reset behavior of oscillator phases, filters and delay buffers. Now we can have this free running, as it would be if it was a traditional analog style synth, We can reset all, which will reset everything, oscillator phases, filter and delay buffers. And that means we're going to get a really consistent note every single time we press a key. Or we can just reset the oscillator starting phase. Again, that's going to be more consistent. So free run is going to be more like an analog synth, and then reset all and reset oscillator are going to have much more consistency. So every single note we play is going to sound the same. Let's try this with a preset. Let's try one of these. So can you hear how more consistent the attack of that is compared to this? It's just got slightly more consistent attack to it. Okay, let's just head back to our basic patch. So that's our engine setup area. Next up, let's have a look at the oscillator area here. Now this is greyed out at the moment because we've got free run on. If we switch on reset all, now it becomes active. This allows us to set the start phase of our main two wavetable oscillators here. So we can change the phase of each one by dragging on the phase controls. And we can also spread the phase of any additional unison voices. So let's bring up the second oscillator. So as we press every new note, you can hear the tone slightly changing as I change the phase. So you can set those so you get exactly the right kind of relationship between the phase of the two wavetables. Now these spread controls allow us to spread out the starting position for added voices in unison mode. Now, at the moment unison mode is switched off, so let me just switch it on. We're going to go through this in much more detail. Let's increase the voices quite a lot. Now I can actually spread these extra voices phase for each oscillator. So you can hear how tight that is compared to that, which has much more of a soft attack. Okay, we're going to carry on looking at the parameters in this voice tab in the next video.